Hey y'all, it's Diann Bayes, the #1 quester and founder of How Big is Texas? Welcome to my neck of the woods in beautiful Northeast Texas, where the oak woods and prairies converge with the piney woods. How Big is Texas started in 2020 as we were coming out of the pandemic. I drove the perimeter of the state more than 3,300 miles and have been traveling the back roads and the highways ever since to enjoy big miles, big taste, and big adventures. This podcast is for your enjoyment, my amusement, and to share a little something about the Lone Star State. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started on today's Texas Quest. Hey y'all, it's Mother's Day weekend and I'm spending part of the afternoon in the official international world headquarters of How Big is Texas? The crows are in the backyard driving the dogs crazy, so if you hear them cawing or the dogs barking during this podcast, well, welcome to my neighborhood. I'm surrounded by memories, especially of my grandma. Grandma Barney Althea Thompson was born in Smith County in January of 1916. She married my pawpaw, James Elliott Stone, in March of 32, and they were married 65 years when she passed away in October of 97. Since it's Mother's Day weekend, I'm honoring one of the most wonderful native Texans I've ever known. Now, Grandma would probably say this is silly. After all, she was known to say, "Don't send me flowers when I'm gone. Just bake a pie and put it on my grave so the animals can enjoy it." Many people have traveled in and out of my life, but none have made an impression on me like my grandma. Now, I can't be sure, but I'm guessing I'm one of the few grandchildren, aside from my siblings and first cousins, who had a grandmother named Barney. I never really asked why her parents gave her that name. I don't even remember ever questioning why. She had a lot of brothers born before her, so maybe her folks thought she'd be a boy and already picked a name out. All I know was she was grandma to us. I don't recall anybody calling her Barney. Most of the time, I heard family and her friends call her Aunt Pete or Pete, another traditional boy's name. I'm not sure where she picked up that nickname either. The things I should have asked. Even though Grandma's been gone nearly 30 years, people still remember her. I was in the Steele's feeding seat in Troop near Tyler just last week, and the store owner mentioned my grandma and a tall tale my grandpa had shared with him about her. As a child, I loved going into her bedroom and playing with her hairbrush. I would pull a strand of her beautiful gray hair out of the bristles so I could see how long it was, since she never wore her hair down. It was fascinating. I stopped coloring my hair when I turned 50 with the hopes mine would someday look like hers. Still got a ways to go, but I'm starting to look more like her as I age. If only I had her demeanor. Oh well, you can't win 'em all. In my headquarters and in our house, I have quilts she made, a collection of her paintings, crocheted shoes, a glass dish she always served onions in during meals, and her last Bible. She read it through 36 times. More than most preachers, I would guess. She knew her scripture. My favorite thing about her Bible are the notes she wrote in it. Her writing is mostly found on the inside and back covers. If it snowed, an unusual sight in the piney woods of Northeast Texas, she'd write it down. She wrote about the day her dog had a litter of puppies, how she and Pawpaw were still picking peas from their garden in November, and even recipe notes like remember to add more salt or sugar to this or that. Some items appear that I don't quite understand, like the Elvis stamps stuck to the pages in the front of the Bible. The singer, known for his hip-shaking antics, seems a strange choice to be stuck in the good book, but he did sing great gospel songs, so we'll give him a pass. Some questions will never be answered. I also have handwritten sayings that my grandma liked that she wrote in cursive on lined notebook paper. Most kids born after 2010 might not be able to read them. Here are a couple of my favorites. I've peered at this face in the mirror for years. Didn't mind the crow's feet, so why now the tears? The rest of the crow is starting to show. No idea who the original author was, but I find it both funny and true, especially the older I've gotten. Here's another one. How to keep love in the loving cup? When you're wrong, admit it. When you're right, shut up. While not the exact words written by Ogden Nash in his poem A Word to Husbands, it definitely came from him. While I've never heard my grandma tell anybody to shut up, it's funny to see part of Nash's work in her writing. Grandma showed she had a funny side in the list of favorite sayings she shared, but she seldom showed it, giving my pawpaw the chance to shine as he was known for his great sense of humor and knack for spinning a tale. I also have many of Grandma's handwritten recipes, which I plan to put into a How Big is Texas cookbook in the future, along with other recipes my followers on Facebook and my friends and family have shared across the state. Long time ago, we had a family reunion when Grandma was still alive, and they asked those who came to share recipes, and someone was going to put together a cookbook. It never happened, and somehow I ended up with all those recipes. Oh, I failed to mention that reunion was held in the boxing gym, which might make you question a little bit about my family. At least no one ended up in the boxing ring, though I'm sure some cousins would have liked to be there, and maybe even deserved to be there. Grandma was incredibly talented. One of my favorite Christmas gifts was when we received hand-crocheted house shoes. I loved getting them every year and wore mine out by the next time the Christmas came around. She even made shoes out of leftover scrap yarn for my pug at the time, who liked to play with them when they were on their feet. The year she made all 8 grandchildren a quilt tops all Christmas gifts. She placed each quilt in a pillowcase so we weren't able to see what was inside. Each grandchild got to choose based on a first-come, first-served basis. That way it was fair to all. You grabbed a pillowcase that had the quilt carefully tucked inside so you couldn't peek. How could you lose? Grandma made it. I cherish having that quilt. In fact, it's on a Texas quilt rack given to me by my best friend Darla, and it's by my desk in the headquarters so I get to look at it every day. I also have a hand-knitted bed covering and a 48 state quilt my great-grandmother on my grandpa's side started and my grandmother finished. It was before Hawaii and Alaska came on board and includes the state bird and the state flower. In her 60s, the same age I am today, Grandma decided to take up painting. I remember spending the weekend with her when I was in college and getting a quick lesson. I still have that painting. It's not great and would never be worth anything to anyone. But for me, the memories I made painting beside her are more valuable than any Monet or Picasso. Her paintings hang in my home in her honor. Of all the things my grandma did, she was known for her cooking and her baking. I often think of her when I'm watching cooking shows, and I wonder if today's chefs could produce something as good as Grandma if the only seasonings they had to use were salt and pepper. Her meals were simple, never extravagant. We didn't have to think about which silverware we needed to use while we were sitting at our table. You had a knife, a fork, a spoon, and the tastiest meal this side of the Red River. Grandma made traditional Southern meals, not cuisine, and you never left her table hungry. We were treated to East Texas staples like fried chicken, purple hull peas, collard greens, fresh sliced tomatoes, cucumbers, and onions, almost all of it produced from my pawpaw's garden. Her chicken and dumplings were one of my favorite things to eat alongside a big piece of cornbread made from my pawpaw's cornmeal from his corn crop and cooked in a cast iron skillet. While I'll admit to liking a slice of sweet cornbread on occasion, hers didn't have any sugar in it, but it was sure delicious. Grandma's dumplings were rolled thin and then cut into squares or rectangles and then added to the cooked chicken and the broth. And you didn't stir them when you added them. You shook the pot. My husband came from Ohio, but got to Texas as quick as he could. He grew up with drop dumplings, what I consider to be the lesser dumpling in a pot of chicken and dumplings. I make them his way sometimes, but I like my grandma's way a whole lot more. The one thing Grandma did that I haven't seen others do when she made her chicken and dumplings was add a hot pepper pod to the broth. She also said you needed to use a fat hen to make the best broth, and who was I to argue with someone who could cook like she did? Grandma was the dessert queen. Chocolate meringue pie, berry cobblers, and homemade candy like fluffy divinity and creamy fudge were holiday staples. Grandma also knew how to have fun. She and Papa played dominoes almost every day, especially in their later years. My husband and I now play with their same dominoes, just not every day. When family was visiting their home in the piney woods, the card table came out, the teams were chosen, the dominoes shuffled, and the Texas 42 game was on, the national game of Texas. On a side note, the game of 42 was invented in 1887 by two Texas boys from Garner, Walter Earl and William Thomas. There's no telling how many games we played at their house after eating a delicious home-cooked meal. It was probably the only way we could stay awake after stuffing our faces. I miss my grandma. It's hard to believe she's been gone since 1997. Today, we market celebrities as role models to kids. Sometimes the celebrities even market themselves. No offense to the athletes, musicians, and movie stars around the world, but I'd choose my grandma as a role model over them any day of the week. As one of my sisters wrote and beautifully delivered at the eulogy of my grandma's funeral, my grandmother taught me many things. Small things that are bright windows in my memory, large things that light up the corners of my soul. She taught me that there is harmony as well as melody in music. She taught me that sometimes the beauty of a thing is not in its surface, but in its depth. She taught me that you are given gifts by God and those are not to be taken lightly. She taught me that laughter made everything all right. She taught me that contentment in the role life has given you is not weakness. To those mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers, or even those who are acting mothers to many, I wish you the happiest of Mother's Day. Since I live near Tyler, I send you a virtual dozen Tyler roses. Happy Mother's Day. Well, that's all she wrote for this episode. I sure hope you enjoyed it. You can follow me on social media at How Big Is Texas or on my blog, howbigistexas.com. If you like this podcast, y'all please take the time to give me a Texas-sized friendly review. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, from Texas, safe travels.